I've already taken in enough time. This time is dedicated to CA Stories Confidential.
Well, appreciate you, Reg. Appreciate you, Ross. More importantly, appreciate all the Tolos allowing me to tell some of these stories. And I got a bunch of them. Covering the Cowboys, covering sports in this town since 1980. I've seen a thing or two. Kind of like an insurance commercial, don't it?
Yeah?
No, it's either just seen a thing or okay.
Yeah, you got to say it in like, we got to get like a VO, like somebody to record it. Chris Arnold has been a stable part of this community for over 40 years. You can trust him. And you come in, I'm Chris Arnold, and I approve this message. Like, just on the back end of that.
If you need a voiceover guy, I'd be happy to help because I love to do that trailer voice, you know, where it's like, in a world where one man stands alone.
Oh, man.
I like it. We need to record that up. I like it.
Well, let's go ahead and cut to the chase on this Cowboys game Sunday and into Sunday night. I've seen a lot of things over these years, and that's one of the biggest meltdowns anybody has ever seen. I mean, my jaw was slack. I'm out there covering the game, and my job, of course, is to get the post-game interviews for 105.3 The Fan, talk to the players in the locker room. I've done this for years, and I have done it under all kinds of situations, heartbreaking losses, spectacular wins at the end, you know, last-second victories, no matter what the sport is, or even dominant victories or whatever. Just anything that you can imagine. Wins and losses, ties that didn't make any sense, ties that you were glad it meant something, all kinds of situations. Coaches quitting in the middle of a press conference. I've seen it all. And in that context, I'm telling you, that locker room was stunned. They were stunned because, as everybody knows, that team hadn't lost. They won 16 straight games there. The splits, home and road, the whole thing was laid out for them to try to make this run to the Super Bowl, make it to the NFC Championship game. They had been playing well. They had no significant injuries. And it was not one side of the ball. It wasn't the coaches alone. It was everybody. Everybody failed. And it was sad. And they weren't throwing a pity party in there, and nobody was trying to hide. They were just stunned. And I'll give credit to most of them who talked. The ones who didn't talk, you kind of bear with them because they didn't really have anything to say. They're like too stunned to talk. And this wasn't at the start, the very next day when they were emptying the locker room, emptying their lockers. When you saw video of the media all standing around and players just get their stuff and left. And the only one that really talked was Jordan Lewis, 7-year vet. He's one of the team leaders, and he kind of told how people felt. But I talked to him after the game, but I also talked to a bunch of other guys. Let's start with this Michael Gallup, because I just want you to hear how surprised they are or shocked by what happened.
MG, this was a tough one. Can you talk about how Green Bay played? In other words, they came on and they did what they do.
They couldn't do no wrongs today. They were on fire. Can't even do nothing about that. They scored on what, the first 3 drives and scored against our offense. It's a tough one. We can't do nothing about that.
Is this the toughest loss you've been through in the Cowboys uniform? Or was the first Green Bay? That was a good
I think they right next to each other, to be honest. So, yeah, it's a tough one, though, right here.
Can you talk about how everybody feels in this locker room?
Hurt. Everybody's hurt. I know I am.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you. Michael Gallup.
Everybody was hurt. Tyler Smith, all-pro,
Yeah, there's so many all-pros on this team, man.
Yeah.
Ugh.
This is only his second year with the Cowboys. He's from Fort Worth. He grew up a Cowboys fan. I'm going to give him credit because he can really talk. And by the way, Dak Prescott says if he had to go in an alley, the people he wants with him are Tyler Smith and Jake Ferguson. And I talked to both of them. Here's Tyler Smith, and listen to the way he explains how he's looking at this loss.
Tyler, I know it's been a tough game. Can you talk about how you feel right now emotionally?
I mean, I'm disappointed. Obviously, it's crushing just knowing how talented this team was, throughout the game. As we're playing, as we're going, things were getting a little bit, crazy. I love the way we kept pushing through the adversity. That's one thing, I thought to myself, I'm like, you got to keep going. You know, regardless of the score, as long as there's time on the clock, you got to keep going. You don't just play when you're up. You don't just play when it's 0-0. You know, you play to play. And, you know, I feel like, you know, I pray before the game. Every game, I'm like, you know, God, let me go out there and give everything I can give. And, you know, at the end of the day, you know, the result is going to be the result. You know, I have to accept that. You know, the result today was we lost. But, you know, I gave everything, you know, I had. And I'm going to go deeper. You know, I know it's over today. You know, I know we can't be the crowning champs this season, but our time will come. And I don't think anybody has ever had, you know, any real success without some adversity early on. So it's just going. We got to get back in the lab. We got to do what we got to do.
Appreciate you, Tyler.
No problem.
That dude's a leader. That's all I got to tell you. That Tyler Smith is a leader, and he's young. I mentioned the leader of Jordan Lewis. Jordan Lewis is a free agent. He would love to come back, but they might not bring him back. And he was emotional after the game as well. Jordan Lewis.
Jordan Lewis, this is a very, very tough loss. Can you talk about everybody coming in the locker room and the mood right now?
I don't know. It's kind of distraught. Kind of, we don't know what to feel. We definitely didn't know that we'll be feeling this early. So.
Was there any particular play the game swung on? Was it just nonstop Packers making plays?
Yeah, we just didn't execute at all, and they had our number all day. So we didn't execute to our best ability, and they took advantage of that.
Was Jordan Love the kind of quarterback you thought he was, or he surprised you all?
No, we knew that he had talent, and we knew that they had talent around him too. So we just didn't do our job on, you know, containing him in that passing game. So, and that gave way to Aaron Jones. So, I mean, they got some good skill positions out there, as you saw. We just didn't execute.
Anything you want to say to the fans?
We appreciate you guys, especially when we come home and, you know, you guys are loud as you guys can be. So, I mean, definitely not the way we wanted to end it, but we definitely appreciate you guys coming out and always supporting us.
Jordan Lewis, thanks.
No problem.
I mean, it was a tough locker room to be in because they just seemed so shocked. And Dak Prescott was sitting talking with Cooper Rush, and I was like, I cannot wait till he has his presser at the podium in the other room when he gets dressed, because I don't know what he's going to be able to say. And you heard what he said from the podium. He said, if Mike McCarthy's on the list of guys you have to worry about the future, put me on that same list.
Yeah.
And I'm stunned. Another guy that was stunned, Deron Bland, who had a hell of a year. He's Mr. Pick Six, breaks the record, NFL record for returning interceptions for touchdowns with 5. Deron Bland.
Deron, this is a tough loss. Is this the toughest loss you've ever been through?
I mean, shoot, I guess you can say that. Well, I'll say last year was tough because we made it a little second round. But it's, you know, it's on my second playoff, so it's always still tough to me.
What's the mood in this locker room right now? I mean, everybody seems kind of down, but I mean, y'all walked in.
Yeah, I mean, try to give it all out there, you know. And it just didn't come up, so everybody feel defeated right now. So come back.
Was there a particular play that the game turned on, or was it just Green Bay was being Green Bay today? Was that day?
I mean, we just couldn't catch our feet, really. So that's all I say. We couldn't catch our feet, really.
Thanks, Deron. Great season, man.
Thank you.
And then Jake Ferguson, Big Biscuit. Jake Ferguson, I consider him a combination. I kid you not. He's tough like Jason Witten. He's funny, and he's crazy to a degree like Gronk. He's like Rob Gronkowski. It's got this tight end vibe to him. And he actually played well in that game.
Yeah.
Again, by the second half, Green Bay's defense wasn't doing what they normally do, but we knew going into that game, the seam route was there. The Green Bay secondary is number 31 in the league. It's right there for you. All you have to do is throw the ball to Jake Ferguson. So I talked to Jake Ferguson. This is what he had to say.
Jake, I think you were saying a little while ago, this is all about execution, and they were executing right off the top.
Yeah, I agree. I think the execution didn't come early for us, and you know the margin of error is tiny, especially in playoff football, and they were just executing better and for longer, and I think they were hot all game.
There's a lot of guys who were telling me they feel hurt right now. Are you one of them? I mean, how do you feel emotionally right now? Because this is a tough loss.
Yeah, I'm hurt. I know how hard these guys work. I know how hard this team worked, how hard everybody in our building worked. And it's a tough one to go out like this for sure.
And finally, can you say anything about the fan support showing up and wearing the white and the home hours?
Yeah, 100%. I love Dallas Nation. I mean, I want to play my whole career here. I love it here. Appreciate that. And let's just get it going for next year. You know I'm going to be working.
Thanks, Jake.
I'm going to tell you something. He's one of those guys you want to come back next year. 25% of the roster is going to be gone. As good as they played 12-5 years in a row.
A lot of turnover.
A lot of turnover.
Yeah.
Free agents going to be signed. Dak's going to get an extension because they're going to free up some cap space for guys. But I'm going to say this again. I said this earlier in the show. I was there when the Cowboys won the last Super Bowl in Arizona. And that particular year, their reaction was relief, which was odd. I thought that was so strange. They were happy, but they were just relieved because the year before was hell. Jimmy and Jerry got their divorce, and all the media and a lot of the fans were saying they'll never win without Jimmy. And the players took that personally. And in fact, Jimmy even talked about it when he went to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He said, I did not realize how much I hurt my team. He said, I've always told them you cannot let things outside of this locker room, outside of this team affect you. And I let it affect me. I let my relationship with Jerry affect me, what we were trying to get done.
Mm-hmm.
And they were mad at me over that. And they were. And so when the fans and everybody, Jimmy, they should have never let Jimmy. That drove those players crazy. And then here they lose to San Francisco. And by the way, Troy Aikman says in his mind that loss to San Francisco in the NFC Championship game, you know, when Deion was grabbing Michael Irvin's arms, he said, I've never been more proud of my team because we fought the whole damn way. Even in that loss, we fought. There was the one, you know, Barry Switzer's first year with the Cowboys. They lost to the 49ers. 49ers go to the Super Bowl, and they won the Steve Young. And then the next year, the Cowboys come back, and they win the Super Bowl, and they go through adversity. It was the year of load left against Philadelphia. They're going for fourth down. Switzer's an idiot going for fourth. Nowadays, people go fourth down all the time.
Yeah.
The team wanted them to go for fourth down, and they did their money play, which was Emmett right behind Nate Newton, left guard. Emmett would put his hand on Nate's butt, and they get that first down, dirty yards. It didn't work, and they tried it again, and it did not work. That was their identity play, and they got shoved up their face. Guess what? They still wound up winning the Super Bowl, and they weren't like going crazy happy. They were relieved. And I said to those guys, because I was talking about them individually, not as a franchise, but individually, you guys better enjoy this. You might not ever get a chance to go to the Super Bowl again. Little did I know the franchise would never get a chance to go to the Super Bowl again. So again, this team is not going to be the same next year. There might be some assistant coaches' heads that roll. McCarthy's coming back for sure. Dak's coming back for sure. There's going to be some guys that might surprise you and retire. There may be guys who want to come back as free agents. They're going to be gone. There are going to be moves that they make. They hopefully will upgrade. But in my mind, that locker room after that game, I ain't seen nothing like it. And I've been covering that team and sports, football, baseball, basketball, hockey, soccer, golf track, since 1980. Even it was all the way I mean, you've seen blowouts before.
Yeah.
But not the way that was laid out for that team to go somewhere. And what they had, knowing what they had to do. The pedigree is you got to go to the Super Bowl. And the fact that they knew the majority of that team, we have not been out of the first round, or we cannot get past the wild card, or we've only won one playoff game. It was maddening to them. And they just looked not defeated, but just shocked. Like, this is a dream. This is just a bad dream. And I'm going to say something else. I remember this. Mm-hmm. If anybody was listening to the pregame show, Christy Scales talks to Jerry Jones 30 minutes before kickoff. And she was talking to Jerry and Mark Murphy, one of the owners of the Packers. And it was a great interview. It was typical Jerry, just talking about, you know, the stuff and just great mood. And then she said, and I'm paraphrasing, she said, Jerry, last week in Washington, I asked you how you feel going into this game, and you said you felt pretty good about the Cowboys' chances. How do you feel about this game? And it caught me by surprise, because I'm feeling good. Cowboys supposed to win. Everybody thinks Cowboys win. Jerry said, guillotine. I was like, what is he talking about? And he said, guillotine. Do you realize that if we don't win this game, this is a great opportunity. If we don't win this game tomorrow at 11 o'clock, clean out lockers, it's like heads roll. Guillotine. That's what's at stake here. We've got to win this game. And I was like, that's kind of dramatic. And he completely shifted his whole, it was like not like a nice, lively interview. And then all of a sudden he said, guillotine. And I'm like, that's that pressure.
Yeah, that's the pressure.
That is that pressure for the last 30 years. And again, this particular team, yeah, they knew what they signed up for, but front office didn't help them those 5 and 11 years with Campo. They didn't help them with the 8 and 8 years of Jason Garrett. And it all adds up to, guess what? It's on you to lift the jinx.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
and they couldn't do it.
You said Jerry Jones used the word guillotine. I don't think anybody's seen guillotine yet since they lost that game. And so ultimately 13th consecutive postseason appearance that has ended before the championship round for your Dallas Cowboys.
And there's only 2 other teams in the NFC that are in that boat. Can you name them?
That have had 13 consecutive appearances without?
Have not been to the NFC Championship game since the 90s.
Go ahead, Rosh.
That would be the Washington Commanders. I almost slipped.
Ding, of all their names.
And you said
one more.
Oh, the Detroit Lions.
And Detroit is very close. We'll see what they do this weekend. Maybe they get to go. And they got a guy that a lot of people were making fun of, Dan Campbell, because he was very animated. He was the bad cop. He was getting in people's faces, acting like a college coach, like Jimmy Johnson. Well, it's taking them a little bit further than the Cowboys are. That's your CA Story Comedy.